Coming up on the show today, are the Golden State Warriors closing in on signing Dwight Howard to add another center to this roster with NBA training camp quickly approaching? Before we take a look at all of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. As you can see here to my right, we're only 42 people away from 60,000 subscribers. Don't you want to be a part of history? If that's the case, lock us in, hit that sub button. Plus, you get year-round updates on the Warriors. Dwight Howard to the Golden State Warriors. That is the topic of conversation we're having on Warriors today. I'm Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for being here with us. So Shams Charania with this tweet on September 15th, and we've really been monitoring this story in the days after it. 8-time NBA All-Star Dwight Howard will meet with the Golden State Warriors next week. That's now this week, sources tell The Athletic. The team has been exploring signing a reserve veteran big man, and now the 2020 Lakers championship center will visit with the Warriors officials soon. From everything that we've kind of heard, that meeting may have taken place already with Golden State, and now it comes down to this. Are they going to actually sign him to this roster? As for what he's accomplished in his entire NBA career, he's been one of the best bigs in the history of basketball, and you can't tell me otherwise, because when he was in his prime, he was unique. He was dominant on both ends of the floor, and he was one of the best players in the game for a really long time. And the resume certainly speaks for itself, right? 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, an unbelievable shot blocker who in his prime could climb the ladder, swat your shot away, and he can still be a very good rim protector. 8-time All-Star too, on top of him being the Defensive Player of the Year. That's a Hall of Fame worthy conversation as well. 5-time All-NBA first-teamer, led the NBA in rebounds 5 times as well, and finally got that championship as a reserve big for the Lakers back in 2020. It is certainly an interesting idea, to say the least. And Dwight Howard is a very interesting dude, allegedly. All it takes is a very quick Google search. But his teammates seem to like him, and the fans seem to rally around him, and he takes great care of his body, and even still, despite him being in the NBA for so long, overcoming back injuries, which were very serious several years ago, he's still in great shape, and he can still get the job done on the offensive end by just being a lob man, but also on the defensive end as well by being that shot blocker. Warriors bigs right now on the roster, and I kind of say bigs because they don't have a lot of size on this team. Dario Saric, tallest player on the team, but he's better suited to play the 4. You have Kevon Looney playing center. He's only 6'9". That's why Golden State sometimes has a size deficiency. They drafted Trace Jackson Davis, end of the second round. I like the player, 6'9". And then Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins. They're both 6'7", but by no means are they actually big men if you want them to play that center spot. You do have to address the size at some point, and this has been one of the biggest points of emphasis for me all throughout the offseason for Golden State. The real ones who watch the show, every program, know that I've continued to say this, that there are issues with the Warriors' lack of size, especially when you look at the landscape of the Western Conference. Good bigs, teams that have that size that the Warriors do not. And then when you counter the size and you also have the athleticism, that's why sometimes the Warriors deal with fits on the defensive end of the floor. This is our poll question for today's show. And I want to hear from everybody down below who's interested in this in the comment section. Would you sign Dwight Howard if you were Mike Dunleavy Jr.? S for sign, P for pass. Let me know. Dwight Howard, 2010, 2011. Great season here. Nearly 23 points per game, 14 rebounds, 2.5 blocks. All-Star, Defensive Player of the Year, First team all-defensive selection, first team all-NBA, second in MVP voting. He averaged 27 points per game, 15.5 rebounds in 6 playoff games. Like, that's a dude who put up numbers back then. He is not the same player now, but was he a menace in the NBA? He was a menace in the NBA, an extremely dominant player who found a way to really put his fingerprints on the game of basketball in a variety of ways. Now, obviously now, with Dwight Howard being in the league this long and being a seasoned veteran at 37 years old, he's not the player that he used to be. But you look at what he's done the last 4 years. Obviously, you take last year out because he was playing overseas. 2021, 2022. Last NBA action that we saw, almost 6 points per game, 6 rebounds, a half block per night, and he's not going to be a guy who's that good from the free throw line. He's not going to be a player who's going to shoot the basketball. But you look at those numbers, like he's been a serviceable big over the last 4 years, and then last year in 2022, 2023, played for the Taiwan Leopards. Hopefully I pronounced that right. And the numbers last year were wild. 23 points per game, 16.2 rebounds per game, under 5 assists, shot 40% from the floor. Surprisingly low there. If Warriors fans are thinking, Dwight Howard did this overseas, he could do that at the NBA level, you know what my response to that is? Not so fast, my friend, because he is not going to do that for Golden State. But Warriors fans should know, and the Dubs already do know, that you're not bringing him in here to put up those digits. You're putting him on this roster to really fortify some of the depth at that center position. More on Dwight, including some interesting reports. But first, BetUS is our sportsbook partner here at Chat Sports. Get involved and get in the game. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code CHAT125 for a 125% deposit bonus. You put in $100, you get $125 back, $225 to game with. Then how about the NBA championship odds? Are you counting out the Golden State Warriors? Because the odds makers are not. Boston Celtics leading the way at 5-1. Denver Nuggets tied with them at 5-1, the reigning NBA champs. You have the Bucks thrown in there at plus 650. Phoenix Suns at plus 650. And then the Golden State Warriors, 12-1. Now, if you're looking for value as far as betting goes, that's a good value bet. You put down $1, they win, you get $12 back. So I kind of like the value there, 12-1 for Golden State. Now, with Dwight Howard working out for the Golden State Warriors, is it just a normal workout? What is the deal here? Let's turn to NBA insider Kendra Andrews here. Dwight's expected to be there with the team today, sometime in the afternoon. I'm told that the Warriors are looking at this just as another workout, just another guy they're bringing in to get a look at, as they've been doing for the past couple of months. They also brought in Kent Bazemore, who used to be a member of the team, Juan Toscano Anderson, who was a member of that 2022 title-winning championship squad. That does not mean he is a member of the team. This is just another part of the process as the work to fill out the remaining roster spots. Now, that report from Kendra Andrews did come forward on Tuesday, so now we wait for a potential Dwight Howard signing with the Warriors. If he impressed in that workout, if he crossed off all the boxes, and the Warriors believe that bringing him in makes sense from a stylistic standpoint and a basketball manner, but also as a locker room fit as well. Tell Mike Dunleavy to sign a big. I'm all in on signing Dwight Howard just for the theatrical element to it. Type do it, Mike. Do it, Mike, down below in the comment section. Here's Eddie Johnson on Dwight Howard. I've had conversations with him when he was over in Taiwan. I kept telling him, I was like, man, I just don't understand why you're not in the NBA. But I told him, I said, man, you're going to be back in the league. I said, for one reason. Nobody can deal with Jokic, but you can. You've proven that you can bother Jokic. And I said, for that reason, somebody's going to give you a chance. And that's a terrific point, and I want to round out there on today's show. And, Jack, this can be a YouTube short if we're pressed for it and if we need it. Dwight Howard is not the player that he used to be, but Dwight Howard can still play in this league. And Dwight Howard makes sense to the Golden State Warriors because he gives this team size and strength that they currently don't have at that 5 spot. He's one of the only players in the NBA who's bothered Nikola Jokic throughout Jokic's career, and he's really the only player, if the Warriors were to sign him on this roster, who can at least bother him throughout the course of a playoff series. And if you want to get past the NBA champions, you're first going to have to beat them. And I don't know if Golden State can beat the Denver Nuggets with the current construction of this roster without a big who can give you 10 to 15 minutes per night, who from a physical sense can at least stick with Jokic a little bit. Now, is Dwight Howard the right choice for the Golden State Warriors? I mean, you look at some of the options out there. Would you rather have him or another player out there? I think Dwight Howard would be a solid player. Y for yes, N for no. Thanks for watching today. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll catch you next time here on Warriors Today.